Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Today is Wednesday, July 7th, and this is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Alisal Union School District. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us. So we're going to go on to our opening items, and I'm going to call the meeting to order right at 5:30 p.m. And we're going to ask our board clerk, Mr. Roberto Ocampo, to please do roll call.
Yes, Jose Antonio Jimenez,
Present.
Leticia Garcia,
Present.
Lupe Gilpas,
Here.
Mr. Mercado, and I'm here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ocampo. We're going to go on to opening items C, the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to ask Ms. Silvia Santos, please to join, do that for us, lead us.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much there. Now we're still on opening items D. This is an opportunity to feature up to a 3-minute presentation on the positive things that are taking place throughout the district. So I have one, and then I believe Mr. Koenig has one. So actually mine, I didn't know how to keep it for Mr. Koenig, but actually it's a certificate of appreciation for Mr. Koenig for his 15 years of service in the Alisal Union School District.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It also has a 15-year.
It does. It does have a 15-year lapel pin. And I think what is so special, I was able to go with Mr. Koenig as these were delivered district-wide. He went to so many school sites. He shook so many hands. He was giving so many awards to people who had 5, 10, 15 years. The poetry art contest, he was there. The Luminaria Awards, did you miss any at all, Mr. Koenig?
I missed quite a few, but I made as many as I could.
It was awesome. I could not keep up with him. So we appreciate that. We appreciate what you do for the district, Mr. Koenig. And we're very proud that you are our superintendent.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Well, let's go backwards. Thank you. So Mr. Koenig will present the next spotlight.
Okay. Well, all good things must come to an end, and over the next few days, we're going to lose Sylvia Santos, who's been the superintendent's administrative assistant. She came to the district on June 16th of 2008. So she's been here for 15 years, and she just got a lapel pin and a certificate for her 15 years of service. She's been the right-hand person for 4 superintendents. She's been the right-hand person, and I hate to say this, she was the right-hand person for 1 state trustee. She's taking care of the needs as far as doing their governance jobs of 16 different board members. She's an articulate writer. She's the most efficient and effective administrative person that there is. She will be missed. And she makes sure that everything the district is responsible for gets done. She's put together over 300 board meeting agendas. For the most of that time, she printed every single page of those and made about 15 copies of those agendas, then drove all over East Salinas, distributing those to the board members. And then in addition, posting the agendas in the three far-flung places that they're required to be publicly displayed. For the past 4 years, board docs made her job a lot easier, and she's very grateful for that automation that's come to help us. She's made sure that over 300 board meetings happened without error. She accurately recorded what happened. And as a person in the district office for 15 years, she has always been a class act. She is leaving us to enjoy a well-deserved time to take care of herself, including family responsibilities. She has 17 grandchildren, so she's been very efficient and effective in all phases of her life. Sylvia, you're the greatest. Thank you for all you've done. And we've got come on up here. We've got a plaque, and it's for your invaluable 15 years of service to the students and families of the Alisal. And it's got a quote: "The end of all knowledge should be service to others," by Cesar Chavez, presented today. Sylvia, thank you very much. And with that, we've got a couple of other things, which, oh,
Oh, balloons.
Sylvia, we've got this beautiful bouquet for you as a symbol of our thanks. And as I've said many times, no award ceremony at Alisal is complete without balloons. So here are your balloons. Congratulations.
Want to express my sincere gratitude to the board and superintendent and this wonderful community. It's been fabulous. Thank you so much.
At this time, I think it would be appropriate to take a 15-minute adjournment to enjoy this cake that's over here.
Yes, so we will adjourn in 15 minutes. I mean, for 15 minutes, we'll start again, maybe like at, what is it, 5:50? Would that be 5:52, or right around there? Okay, math experts, please. Yes, okay, about 5:52, 5:50. Okay, thank you. The cake is for everybody, not just Sylvia. Thank you. We're going to reconvene at 5:52. Again, congratulations to Ms. Sylvia Santos. We're going to go on. We're still on opening items. E, adoption of the agenda. This is an action item, so I do need a motion. Mr. Jimenez makes the first motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Garcia, the second motion. Are there any comments, questions, concerns by trustees? No, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Vote carries, motion carries 4-0 with one being absent. Continuing on to presentations. Our first presentation, item A, is school year 2023-24 budget presentation by Mr. Rais Abasi, Associate Superintendent of Business Services.
Good afternoon. We're here again, and we're going to make a presentation about 2023-2024 budget. And this budget is public hearing. We're not presenting this budget as an action item right now. Today, this is public hearing. The goal is to present the information, get the feedback from Board of Education, and present the information to the community as well. Team presentation, with me, I have Elaine Mendoza. She's our fiscal director, and she actually is the person who makes all the technical inputs in our system, a big, huge piece in our budget development process. To begin the process, Education Code 42127 sets the stage for our presentation. This gives us the guidelines, how the budget should be prepared and presented to Board of Education. Everything we do today is based on this education code. To begin the process, we look at the current year. The current year means 2022-23. We look at the evolution of that budgeting process. If you look at this slide, that shows how information, and the information means revenues, expenditures, beginning fund balance, and ending fund balance change over a period of throughout the fiscal year. We began the process in column A. That was our budget adoption last year in the month of June. Everything we projected at that time, all the calculations we made, they changed over a period of time. First interim, second interim, and the lastly estimated actual. As an example, we're expecting a revenue of 132.9 million. But column D shows that currently we are projecting $197.1 million revenue. The information keeps changing. It's a dynamic process. When the revenue changes, we also change our projections for expenditures. That also changes our ending fund balance. If you look at the row that says ending fund balance, we began our process with $44.4 million. Currently, we are projecting $91.5 million. In the next slide, I'll show you how that is split between restricted and unrestricted fund balances. Our general fund is made up of unrestricted general fund, that's operating budget that we have. Restricted general fund is all the categorical programs we have. Two distinct pieces. In the area of A, column A, which is unrestricted general fund, our revenues, 114. Contributions to the routine restricted maintenance fund, 12.4 million. Expenditures, 96.6 million. Beginning balance, 44 million, and ending balance, $44.8 million. That's again our operating general fund. Restricted general fund is self-sustaining programs general fund. We cannot use those monies for other expenditures. Example of restricted general fund is ELOP, Title I, ACES program, all the restricted programs we have in the district. Special education is also built into restricted general fund. If you see, ending fund balance is $46.7 million. That's a large amount of money that we are going to carry over from this year to next year. Altogether, we have $91.5 million fund balance that will roll to 23-24 fiscal year. That becomes our basis for our budget for 23-24. When we make our projections and our calculations for any kind of fund balance and budget, we have some building blocks. The first and major building block is our enrollment. We are projecting enrollment of 7,185. That's a decline of about roughly 300 students. Our enrollment translates into average daily attendance or ADA. We are projecting or calculating 6,831 ADA. Cost of living adjustment, that's a major factor that we receive from state of California and federal government. This is how much more money we are going to get in our base revenue limit. 8.22% is the projection as we speak at this point. Our unduplicated count is 95.08%, which is also our historical factor for unduplicated count. Continuing with our assumptions for revenues, we receive some money from federal sources like Title I, some special education money. For now, we're making projection of flat money from federal government. The cycle for federal money is October 1 through September 30th. When we build our budget in the month of June, we do not exactly know how much money we are going to get in federal sources because it's a different calendar. For now, our projection is flat. In the area of state revenues, we always talk about lottery. We are projecting about $237 per ADA in lottery money. That provides about $1.5 million. State of California is projecting or promising 8.22% COLA for special education program. We receive some money from mandated programs. It's about $250,000. We do not have too much local money, and that is usually based on our historical trend. In the area of expenditures, we make some assumptions. The biggest area of our expenditure is classroom spending, and that is based on the class size we have. At this point, we are maintaining our class size, that is our historical class size in the recent history, which is current year. PK and first grade is 29:1, grade 2 and 3 is 30:1, grade 4 to 6 is 31:1, and SDC is 12:1 ratio. One of the major areas of our expenditure is our contribution to retirement plans. Currently, we are projecting that STRS is going to be same as current year, which is 19.1%. On the other hand, PERS, which is our classified contribution rate, is increasing by 1.31% and is going to be 26.68%. This is our ongoing increase in expenditures. It's one of the major expenditures that keeps on increasing. We make contribution to special education program, which is a very valuable program. At this point, we are projecting $10.9 million contribution from unrestricted general fund to special education program. We receive a healthy size of contribution for supplemental and concentration programs. Currently, we are calculating $35.5 million in supplemental concentration program. Based on all the factors I just mentioned, we are ready to make our preliminary budget. And when I say preliminary, it means that at this point, these are our very initial calculations based on all the information we have from inside and outside the district. We are making, and this is the second column in this slide, revenue is going to be $142.2 million. If you compare that against estimated actuals, that's a decline. It's going down. And the reason is one-time monies are taken out from the budget in the next budget cycle. Our expenditure is going to be 175.8 million. That's a deficit of $33.8 million. And to cover that deficit, we have carryover coming from last year because we received revenue in the last year in 2022-23, and that carryover is going to cover the deficit in the next fiscal year. We are projecting beginning balance of $91.5 million, ending balance of $57.7 million. We are going to keep a reserve of 17.6 million, which is 10% of our general fund. We are going to make commitments of $38.2 million. And in the next board meeting, which is June 28th, we are going to bring a resolution to commit those balances in different categories that we think we need. Again, our general fund is made up of unrestricted and restricted portions. Column A is our operating general fund. We are going to focus on this one. We are projecting revenues of $117 million. And this is made up of our base revenue, which is also called LCFF. We are projecting expenditures of $91.4 million. We are making contribution of $14.4 million to special education program and routine restricted maintenance account. That provides $11 million surplus in the operating general fund. We are going to start our fiscal year 23-24 with $44.8 million and end, our ending balance is going to be $55.8 million. Reserve is going to be 17.6 million, and we are going to commit 38.2 million in different categories. And that is going to be done through a resolution that we are going to bring next fiscal year, next board meeting. By law, when we make a budget for current year, at the same time, we have to make budget projections for the next 2 years. That's one of the legal requirements we have. When we make multi-year projections, again, we have to make some assumptions. And the assumptions are made up of projections. There's a difference between forecast and projections. Forecast is without any mathematical calculation. Projection is mathematical calculation based on all the information that we currently have. We're projecting enrollment of 6,871 next year and 6,555 in the second year, which is going to be 2025-26. And as you can see, we are projecting a declining enrollment. That translates into 6,522 average daily attendance next year and 6,202 in 2025-26. Unduplicated count is going to be very close to our historical rate of 94.82%, or we can say about 95%. Federal revenues are going to stay flat. That is our assumptions as of right now. When we talk about LCFF or base revenue, we also have to talk about COLA or cost of living adjustment. Next year, which is 2023-24, we're expecting 8.22%, but in the second year, it's going to decline to 3.94% and then 3.29%. In other words, cost of living adjustment is going to decline as well. We are not expecting or projecting any one-time revenues. Our local revenue, which is very small, is still going to be our historical rate. Our class sizes are going to stay the same that we have in 2022-23. We're not making any adjustments in the budget for any increase other than step and column. Pension contributions, which is STRS and PERS, they are going to be based on our statutes or the information that we have legally available. Supplemental and concentration is going to be adjusted for COLA that we receive from state of California. When we put all that information in perspective, we have 4 columns here. We have current year, which is estimated actual, 2022-23. Next column is 2023-24 for our initial or preliminary budget, and then the next 2 years. We are expecting current year revenue is 197.1 million, but if you notice, it goes down to 142.2 million next year, 135.1 million in 2024-25, and $135.9 million. And the reason is we would not have any one-time monies. If we don't have one-time money, our revenue goes down. When our revenue goes down, we adjust our expenditures downwards as well. Our beginning balance is going to be based on our calculations, but if you look at ending fund balance, 91.5 million current year, 57.7 million next year, 55.1 million in 2024-25, and then $50.7 million in the third year. And the reason is we're not expecting, or we're not factoring in any salary increases at this point in these budget numbers. After we are finished with our negotiations with our bargaining groups, that is going to be based on the designation that we have or commitments we have right now. After all of that, we're still able to maintain our required 10% reserve in the next 3 years. After general fund, we also have some other major funds that are used for different very useful purposes. Currently, we have some major construction projects going on. We have construction of LSL Community School, Fremont Elementary School, and some maintenance projects throughout the district. This summer is going to be very busy summer. We have been presenting all kinds of contracts to Board of Education for approval for all kinds of maintenance projects. And all those projects are paid by Fund 21. We also call it Building Fund. It's made up of Measure A and Measure M. We're also using money from Capital Facilities Fund, School Facilities Fund, and Special Reserve Fund that we have in the district. All these funds are going to provide funding for all the maintenance and construction projects. Other budget considerations. We just have to keep in mind that our enrollment is declining. That is our driving force for reduction in expenditures and revenues. We are engaged with our bargaining groups for the salary adjustments. That's our continuing project as of right now. One more thing to keep in mind is May revise is not the final number. The numbers are going to change between now and budget adoption. And when I say budget adoption, I mean state budget. That is going to be done by June 30th. That is going to provide basis for our finalized consolidated budget numbers. In the next board meeting, we are going to present the budget and LCAP for adoption on June 28th. State is required to adopt its budget by June 30th. After state adopts its budget, we are going to revise our own budget within 45 days of state adoption. That's a cycle that we continue every time. And that's a brief presentation that we have for today. And now we are open to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Abbasi. Trustee Ocampo, do you have any questions for Mr. Abbasi?
Not at
No?
this time. no.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez? Ms. Garcia?
I always have questions. Just for clarification, so when you go back to that slide of the multi-year budget projection, and you have, you said the 10% was required. Is that required, or is it our requirement? Or is it the?
So out of 10%, 3% is required by
Right.
state of California, and 7% is required by Board of Education. We have
Mhm.
this directed by Board of Education. So combined is 10%.
Okay, so it is a requirement to keep the 10.
Yes.
And based on them, so are you basing so just help me to understand. So are you basing the 10% off of the revenues or the expenditures?
expenditures.
Okay, that's what makes sense.
So that includes the total general fund expenditures.
Mhm. So how can we stop the bleeding? It looks like we're
How do we stop bleeding?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't look good when we see all this red here, but I think we have to wait for the budget to be approved, and then we'll see where we stand, right, in June 30th.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I don't have any more. Thank you for your presentation. It's very well put together. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, trustees. I do have a couple questions because I know while the fund balance will fluctuate throughout the year, but it is an indicator of the district's health, financial health and how we're doing, correct?
Yes.
Right. So what would you say is the financial health of the district currently?
Currently, we have good financial health. Fund balance is like savings account. We have a very nice, healthy fund balance or savings account. This is one-time money. As our enrollment goes down, it means our ongoing revenue is not going to stay up. It's going to decline. So our expenditures have to be flexible enough to reflect that, to maintain a good, healthy balance. If we keep spending money from our savings account or fund balance, at some point in time, it's going to deplete. It's going to reach undesirable level. We don't want that situation. So as we see right now, we have a good financial health current year, next year, and then the 2 years down the line, which is 2024, 25, 25, 26. But it will go down. And also we have to keep in mind that we are engaged with our bargaining groups. The salary increase that we are going to provide, that is going to deplete fund balance as well. So we have this balancing act to play with. We have to maintain a good balance. At the same time, we have to factor in all the expenditures that we need in the district.
Well, I kind of answered a couple of the other questions that I was going to ask. Thank you. So how would you say that our current fund balance compares maybe to the last 5 years? Because you just answered how it may be in the future. And so for the future, it's going to be healthy, is what I'm understanding. Any idea if you were to compare it to the last 5 years where we stand?
Luckily, I have that information handy.
Oh, good. Thank you.
In 2017-18, we had ending fund balance of 17.2 million. In 18-19, 29.9 million. 19-20, 36.9 million. In 2021, 34.7 million. And currently we have $57.2 billion. So we have received a good fund balance. And one of the factors for a good fund balance is we had COVID money some time ago, and we were able to shift some of the expenditures to COVID money. And that's how we build good fund balance. That one-time money is going to deplete, it's going to disappear if we keep spending this money, because we are not going to get any one-time monies or COVID monies. They're not in the projections in the next 5 or 6 years, or as long as I can see. So the fund balance is the only thing we have right now to meet our emergencies. The fund balance has grown over the period of time, but we have to be very careful in spending that money.
Well, thank you. And it seems like we are being pretty careful since we're in a good standing right now. How long do you think that our current fund balance would carry the district if, and knock on wood and everything else, that it doesn't happen, if our expenses were to dry up all of a sudden? How long could it carry us, would you say?
It's a loaded question.
Well, it's very loaded. It's not in cement, just moreover, I mean, for a couple years.
Based on the information that we have, based on our negotiations and other things that I have, which are not finalized yet, we can go down to about 10% in 2026, 27, maybe less than 10%. It can go down to about maybe 9.6%.
Okay. So then it doesn't seem like our budget is headed for a deficit at all
So the
in the
definition,
next couple of years, 2-3 years.
so when we say deficit, the definition of deficit is revenue minus expenditure.
Mhm.
If we have a negative, that's our deficit. We are deficit spending. So by technically, we are deficit spending because we're using fund balance to make our expenditures, meet our obligations. So we are actually already deficit spending.
Okay, so then you also mentioned that if you could just, and I'm almost finished here with the questions. The projection is a mathematical process. You said that's different from our assumptions? Or you mentioned something about the difference between a projection, a financial projection, and
And forecast.
and a forecast. Yeah, and that's the terminology that the district will use is a projection because that's with doing the math and
That's a
not looking
mathematical
into like
calculation,
a
yes.
crystal ball and just guessing. So the
It's a
projections.
mathematical calculation that if I have only 100 students and I
Mhm.
get $10,000 per student, I'm going to get a certain number. If my student enrollment goes down to 90, I may get same amount of money per student, but my total revenue will go down. That's mathematical calculation. Forecast is my hunch feeling that,
And we don't
economy will
want
go.
that. Yeah, I mean,
So
that's not
we-
how we run the district because it seems like you've been doing a really good job in this and have been able to answer these questions. And we don't want to know what the hunches are because it's not how we work. That isn't.
No.
Right.
And all the credit goes to Mr. Pony because when I look at the historical information in the last 5 years, we maintained a good, healthy fund balance, which has been actually increasing. And Mr. Koenig, as a CBO, maintained a very good reserve
Yes.
and fund balance.
Thank you. I agree. And then my last point, if you would go to slide number 4, because you made a comment there on the carryover on the ending fund balance of unrestricted to restricted. On the first unrestricted general fund, 44.8, right? And then we had carryover. Which one was carryover, the 44 or the 46?
They are both carryovers.
Both.
They're both carryovers. But the difference is that the restricted carryover cannot be used for our operating expenses.
Mhm.
That is going to be used. For example, a large chunk of that restricted carryover is ELOP money, music and art block grant, coaching grant that we received. Those are the major categorical programs. We did not spend that money in the current year, but we did receive that money in the current year from state of California, but we did not spend that. So we are going to spend that next year.
Okay, so we don't lose it. It's just carryover and it keeps carrying over. So why didn't we spend it? Well,
Actually, we do have a deadline to spend that money. We have to spend that money by June 30th, 2024, next year.
so we
and-
have a year to spend 91 million?
No,
Or how much?
46.7 million,
Oh, okay,
not 91.
okay.
So
The-
that money, that 46, which is ELOP, music, art block grant, coaching, and I think it's called coaching grant, right? And some other programs, we have to spend that money. And I know that in this board meeting, Mr. Fausto has 5 or 6 different items to spend money in those programs.
Well, I saw what he's brought forward. It looks like it's, good ideas to spend the money, of course, because if we don't spend it by then you lose it. Okay,
Yes.
okay, awesome. All right, that's all. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
doing the math there for us. Thank you so much, Mr. Abbasi. Still on presentations, we're going to go on to B, Local Control Accountability Plan, ALCA presentation by Ms. Monica Anzo, Associate Superintendent of Educational Services.
Good afternoon, Board President Gilpa, Superintendent Koenig, Cabinet, and community members and other trustees. Here today, I have Ms. Alvarez, who is our Educational Equity Director, who is part of the process when we do LCAP, so she will be helping me with some of the presentation today. So we are here, as earlier expressed by Mr. Abbasi. LCAP is also a presentation and public hearing. This is a time where the board gets to listen, ask questions. There's also a period for public hearing, so if we have any other feedback from the community, it will be brought back during our last meeting in June for approval. So this is the opportunity to ask those questions. And just as a reminder, that this is a 3-year plan. This is the 3rd year of that 3-year plan. And it's an annual update. When you look at the draft, it includes the annual update and the actual expenditures that we did this year. So our LCAP, if we look at this slide, it's actually a tool that is given to us so that we can set the goals for the district, plan actions based on those goals, and then leverage the resources and so we can meet those goals and increase student outcomes. And just like earlier stated by Mr. Abbasi, we have $35.5 million for this year's LCAP. And that's what we call our supplemental and concentration. So part of the LCAP, we have certain requirements that we have to meet. And when we're writing the LCAP in consultation with our educational partners, we have to write it to the 8 state priorities. And that's what you have in this slide. So number 1, basic services, 2, implementation of state standards, 3, parental involvement, 4, pupil achievement, 5, pupil engagement, 6, school climate, 7, course access, and then number 8, other pupil outcomes. I want to call your attention to priority number 4, 5, and 6. Those 3 priorities are actually what when we look at the California dashboard and we brought that presentation a few board meetings back, and the district is in differentiated assistance, is because there was either we didn't have the growth or we had some low achievement scores in pupil achievement, or our attendance rates were really high, or suspension. So I just want to make that connection that when we talk about the California dashboard and differentiated assistance, it's based on those 3 priorities. Then there are other 6 requirements that the LCAP has when we're writing it. We have to engage educational partners in the development of the LCAP. We have to set district goals and targets. And then we have to establish actions and sufficient expenditures to support the stated goals and expected outcomes. We have to consult with teachers, principals, administrators, other school staff, local bargaining units, parents, and students as we're writing this. It has to be reviewed by an advisory committee, so our DAC and DLAC. And then as tonight we have that public hearing, number 6 is members of the public to give input regarding specific actions and expenditures. So in Alisal, we have developed LCAP as a result of our local assessment data, feedback and evaluation from staff, needs and recommendations from DLAC DAC, our school site council and ELAC, school site meetings, surveys, Alisal family resource data, and then the community forum that we had. This next slide is just what the artifacts that we use. You can see our schedules. We had meetings in February and March at all our schools. We had surveys for our certificated staff, surveys for our classified staff. We had surveys for our students and our parents. And then we had a community meeting on April 4th. This is the data that we collected and the amount of participation that we had. For our students, 1,928 students participated in the student surveys, 1,286 parent surveys, 296 parent participants in site and district meetings, 331 certificated staff participants in meetings, 294 certificated staff surveys, 136 classified staff surveys, and then 42 DLAC DAC members provided LCAP input. This last requirement was actually instated last year by the state, and we have to, throughout the LCAP, ensure that we really uplift that language and show where we're increasing the services for students of low income, English learners, foster youth, which are all our unduplicated counts.
So I'm going to continue with the 4 district goals. So our first goal is around our academic program for all students. Alisal will implement a structured professional learning community, PLC model, to provide all students a rigorous academic program aligned to the state standards and best practices based on academic tiered intervention system in order to eliminate inequities that limit student success. Number two is the goal is around our English learner students. And as if you can see within the updated LPAC, they're called multilingual learners now. And so it's ALISA will provide a strong integrated and designated language development program in order to ensure all English learner students develop the listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills to achieve 1 year's growth annually and reclassify by 5th grade. Goal number 3 is targeting social, emotional learning and behavioral supports. ALISA will provide a comprehensive system of support that promotes social, emotional, behavioral, and physical wellness for all students to flourish and develop skills needed to be competitive in the 21st century learning. And goal number 4 is our active engagement, relationship building, capacity building. ALISA will continue to develop relationships and fostering capacity building opportunities to increase the active engagement of all stakeholders, students, parents, staff, and community. So within the LCAP, we have actions, and I'm going to be reviewing some of those key actions that we have. We'll highlight, all of them are important, but I'm going to be highlighting some of those actions right now. In goal number 1, it's around the academics. 1.1 is our grade level team collaboration. And as you can see, we have 1.8 million for that. We're proposing for next year to have 38 PLCS. We're changing the name from grade level release teachers to professional learning community teachers. And then we have our paras educators for our all-day TK Kinder. As you can see, it's 2.1. 1.10 is 14 instructional coaches. We have 12 instructional coaches. This year, we are adding 2 SPED instructional coaches, so that way they can support instruction. So they will be housed in through Edie in her department. And then we also have our preschool program. We have Science Camp and the ALISA Virtual Community Academy, the AVA. And this year we did add a new action, 1.23. It's a reading specialist, 12 reading specialists in the hopes to support the schools and our students with their reading. Goal number 2 is around our English language learners. 2.1 is our newcomer program, 4th through 6th grade. We have 2 classes that are housed at Martin Luther King. And we also have our actions. 2.2 is our English learner instructional coaches. We have 6 throughout the district that have 2 sites, that they are assigned 2 sites at. Each coach is assigned to 2 sites. And then 2.3 is the focus on English language development to support our bilingual programs and hopefully providing PD to support instruction in Spanish. And also for our English learners that are in English classes. Third is our social emotional support and physical wellness. Action 3.6 is our 12 counselors. As you can see, it's 1.2 million. We have psychologists and our behavioral specialists. This is for 3 of our psychologists and 1 of our behavioral specialists. 3.8 is one of our bigger actions. It's our 3 family resource centers at 2.2 million. And this year was our first year that we had 3 social workers that have really impacted and supported our families. In goal number 4, building capacity of staff and parents and students. 4.3, our assistant principals that are so vital to our schools. It's 1.7 million. Additional professional development. There are 5 days added to the calendar to support learning for our certificated teachers. And then 4.8 is building capacity for site and district leaders. Just as teachers need professional development, so do our district leaders. 4.9 is additional teachers to support lower class averages in primary grades. And the last one is our Performing Arts Center at 3.7 million. And as you can see, this is broken down by goal, how much is allocated for each of our goals. The estimated for this next year is 35,489,341. It's about 3 million more than what we had last year. I'd like to close with alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. At this time, I would like to give a big shout out to all our educational partners. This document that you have in front of you with the LCAP is the voice of all stakeholders, and I think it's an awesome plan. I don't know if there's any questions. Thank you. And as you can see there, there's pictures of some of our different meetings that we had within from February till now.
Thank you to you both. I'm going to ask Mr. Ocampo if he has any comments, questions, or
Yeah,
concerns.
just had a comment. I think I did skim over the draft LCAP. Looking forward to seeing the actual LCAP being done. And I guess there were just certain things that I reacted to. One was that I saw that one of the bullets on there was college exposure and career paths for our fifth and the sixth graders. And if I read correctly, I think the report said that not much took place in that area. I guess this year there was some sort of problem with our partners. I'm not sure what those problems were. And so my only comment is, well, one of my only comments is that I hope that for 23, 24, that we can provide these services, that whatever problems we had with our partners can be fixed, or that maybe we can find new partners, because I just think it's really important for fifth and sixth graders for us to start talking to them about college and putting the idea of going to college in their minds and making them believe that they can in fact go to college. And that kind of exposure, I think, is very important. Also get them thinking about what career paths they wish to follow later on. I don't think it's too early, fifth and sixth grade. I think that we catch students at a young age, and I mean, we put those ideas in their minds. I think they're good ideas, that, hey, go to college, hey, get a career. So I hope we can do that for next year. Another thing I was looking at was I know there's a lot of professional development that's obviously taking place that I didn't see anywhere in the report on professional development for our classified staff. And I personally think it would be a good idea to provide professional development to our classified staff, professional development that has to do with the whole child, with the emotional needs of children, because they are frontline staff, classified, whether they're custodians or whether they work in the cafeteria, or teachers say to have direct contact with our students. And I don't think we're doing that now. If we're not, and I don't think we are, I think it's a good idea to do that kind of professional development with our classified staff, so that we can also get them on board with approaches towards working with children in terms of the whole child, in terms of emotional development and that sort of thing. But that would be my recommend. That would be a second recommendation that I have. I was also curious about I know that right now for nurses in schools, I believe we have an agency that we contract out with, if I'm not mistaken. And that agency brings in nurses to our school. I'm not sure how well that's working, and I know that I think it was brought up by one of our board members at a prior meeting, this idea of bringing nurses back to elementary schools, which which I think is a good idea. I would like to see us hire one nurse for every school instead of going through a contract agency. And the reason for that is that I think that nurses provide a real important service. You know, they tend to the emotional needs of students. They tend to obviously the physical needs of students, and to a degree, probably also to their academic needs. And that's their function. The function is to focus on the physical and the emotional needs of students, which is, I think, an important function. And what happens in schools is that everybody's busy. Teachers are busy teaching, you know, counselors are busy counseling, administrators are busy administrating. But I don't think we have one particular person at a school whose job it is to tend to the emotional and the psychological and the physical needs of students. And I think that a nurse would provide this very, very important function. You know, in my mind, a nurse becomes like a safe haven for students. If a student is having a problem, maybe they're suffering from anxiety, they can be sent to the nurse's office to kind of cool off. But I think that nurses provide an important function, and it's too bad that we currently don't have, at least in my understanding, we don't have full-time nurses. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And my sense is that when we contract to agencies that bring nurses into the schools, it is not the same as having the district's own nurse that we hire, that we're responsible for, that we train, that we say, this is your job. So I think it's a void, at least in my opinion, that we're missing in the schools. You know, who tends 100% to the physical and the emotional needs of students right now? I don't think anyone does at the school. I don't think. Could be wrong, but I don't think, because everybody else has their functions. So I personally would like to see nurses come back, if that's possible. I don't know what the budget says. I don't know what other board members think, but that's my opinion. And I think those are my only comments, I believe. Yeah, I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's a response about how nurses work right now, how it's going with this agency that we're contracting out with. If staff has sort of would wish to enlighten me, because I don't know. So I'm asking.
So I'll start from your third question down. So we do have our own district nurse. We have a certificated nurse that has been with us probably for a year now, Sarah Martinez. Her position is as a district-wide nurse. Her main responsibility is to address the care plans for our students. Meaning we have students that have dietary needs. We have students that need some kind of a medical attention throughout the day. And then we have a team of 4 LVNs. In order for our LVNs to give this care to our students, we need to have a certificated nurse on board. There was prior years that we did have an agency because we weren't able to hire the certificated nurse, but we've had Sarah work with us for a year. So very different than what we call a health aide. A health aide is our clerk 5s at this currently are the ones that if a student has needs some kind of a first aid, they're the ones in the school office that provide that first aid. So 2 different things. So we do have our district nurse. Then I think you asked about our classified staff. So if we look through our LCAP, our paraeducators are classified staff. So we do pay the salary from there, but we also have funding for any kind of professional development they need because they are partnering up with our kinder teachers. We also have our family resource centers. Our family resource centers have our classified staff, and they're also provided with professional development. So in order for us to, we can take that as feedback is how do we provide by classification in the professional development by classification and where it's needed. And then the very first one you asked was about the college experience. We did have 46,000 that was budgeted this year for 2 past field trips that we've used to take. Since COVID, they haven't come back. It was a partnership through two of our local colleges. For next school year, we actually allocated a little bit more, about 72,000, because now we're going to partner up with our own counselors so that they provide that field trip to and make those arrangements for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jimenez, Ms. Garcia?
Thank you for very thorough, or the highlights of this LCAP. And just like Mr. Jimenez, I ended up reading most of it. I got the highlights here too. So, and Mr. Ocampo, sorry, Mr. Ocampo hit on the ones I had almost picked up on too, just questioning certain things. Yeah, like the college readiness one, I was really wondering why that didn't happen, but you did answer my question there. So thank you for that. I think that a big highlight of it, of course, is that reading specialist position, because that, trickles down straight to the classroom. And as a classroom teacher, I do appreciate having support for the students in my classroom. And so this is going to be a huge one for the sites. I also, I did have a question about the health aides and licensed vocational nurse. I think that was your 3.7 was, are these also available in the after school program and or Saturdays? Do you have Saturday academies?
If we do have students, for example, summer school, I'll use summer school as an example now. If we have students that need care plans, we have advertised for our for the position. I believe our own nurse is going to be hired for that position. If those are the times where we don't have anyone, our own nurse can't do the work, then we would go out and go out to an agency as a consultant. Because if a student needs to have some kind of a care plan during their attendance, then the LVN again cannot provide that service without having a nurse on site.
Okay. And another big highlight was that, you're paying for science camp. I mean, gone are the days where, parents had to shell out the money or kids had to sell a bunch of candy.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see that that burden has been taken away from families and kids can participate in science camp. Obviously, I think there was some issues with participation rates last year, because maybe I know those science camps get filled up quite quickly. And so what is the remedy for that for this year, ensuring that the fifth graders, and it is fifth grade, right? Because I had some schools it's sixth grade and some schools it's fifth grade.
Yes, because it
Okay.
is not something the district is requiring. It's not mandatory. We have
Mhm.
not selected a grade. So we're leaving it up. Some schools do fifth grade, some schools do sixth grade.
Mhm.
But this year, why the participation was low, not because of lack of wanting to participate, but because we had not allowed our students to attend science camp due to COVID. The teachers that once we said, okay, we can attend this year, they had to find a reservation, find the science camp, so they were all booked. So what we did instead of the science camp, they did 3 or 4 or 5 science related field trips.
Hmm.
So this year, as soon as they were going, some of them have already booked. I think some of those reservations have already been even gone through the board because they were requiring deposits. So we would just have to check to see if all of them have made the reservation.
Okay. And so, okay, so you have a lot of, surveys going out there. And I think one of the things that, I guess I don't know if it's a concern, but so you have 1,286 parent surveys going out, and maybe perhaps a goal for next year that we increase that amount, because I mean, on paper, 1,286 surveys seems like a lot, but that's maybe 2 schools and we have 12 of them, right? And so, and if you do kind of the math, and we have 7,000 students, 7,000 families who could have turned in a survey, and we want that input, right? Because we get a bigger, broader idea of what people actually need or want, or how they want us to serve them through budgets and stuff. Yeah, so I would say that would probably be like, I'm doing math, maybe 15%, or yeah, close to 15% of So maybe next year, a goal would be at least 25%, get 25% of
And I
of
think
parents.
that's always our goal, is to increase the survey to have the parents' input, right? And
Mhm.
we can advertise our parent groups, our advocacy groups, they've helped us with also making sure that the parents are filling out the surveys. So
Mhm.
we're actually grateful for what we are receiving, and maybe we need to show a comparison and look at what has been sent, and if it
Mhm.
increased this year or if it's the same. I
Right.
think that's something that we can look at.
Okay, and let's see, is there anything else? Nope, I thank you for your time and, yeah, very good, thank you.
Thank you. What an informative presentation here. Thank you. I'm going to make mine real short because I think the trustees covered some of my concerns. As far as the health aides, I am also in favor of each school having their own health aide or health tech. Maybe not necessarily a nurse, I don't know, but I think Mr. Koenig mentioned the clerk fives. I mean, they're clerks and they're nurses. I mean, excuse me, health techs. And I know that students, they don't know that there's a psychologist sometimes there, or all the other staff that we have are counselors, but kids know, even in the lower grades, I think that, you know what, I have a scratch or something, I can go to the health, and they call them the nurse, but
Yeah.
it's the health aide. But sometimes they're gonna be busy doing something else, answering the phones or clerk stuff. I mean, I would like to see that position. If there's not enough to do it for a health aide to design it, but where students come first as far as their needs, because we know that a lot of times students, the health techs is the first one to find out. They can see a bruise on the child. They can see or recognize abuse, and they're the ones that report it. And the clerks they have both of those jobs. And I know it's, I don't even think that all of the offices are being used for health stuff. I think they're being maybe used for other things. So I would be in favor of that, as Mr. Ocampo and Ms. Garcia had mentioned, if we could look at that somehow, so that students have the security of saying, no, I'm going to go see, they call the nurse, but we know they mean health tech or health aid, and how we can be creative with that position and find the funding for that. So just sharing in favor of it. And I think there's so much to the LCAP that we need a whole board meeting to discuss and answer questions. And to me, and I appreciate my colleagues here, the great questions they had and the answers, I learned so much. To me, what stands out the most, because the LCAP and the A and LCAP accountability, what is that? We're not accountable. Yeah, we're accountable for the dollars, but that's where the LCFF comes in, right? But we're accountable for student achievement, for educating our students. And yet the survey here, because I'm sure this comment on page 8, the last paragraph there states that 46% of students reported feeling motivated to learn. That means 54, more than half, I believe, of those almost 2,000 students don't feel motivated to learn. So what do we have in place in our LCAP besides the language issues, physical, emotional, social, all that? What are we doing? What is the plan? How much money are we going to spend? What are we going to do to motivate these students? Because we're not going to get anywhere if more than half of our students don't even want to learn. And we know it's because they were on lockdown for a couple of years, had to learn virtually. And we know all of that. We know the reason. But what are we going to do now? What's the answer? I mean, and I don't mean that in a mean way. Can you please share
Yeah.
what the plan is in the plan?
So I think it's a very complex issue, right? If you look at our chronic absenteeism, it is very high as well. So how do we increase that number of students that are staying in school? So how do we engage them at tier 1 level with our teachers? So how do the teachers create a program in their classroom so the students want to be there? How do we ensure that we add other activities? I might not engage in the classroom, but I'm going to go to school because now I know I have a recess coach that's going to help me play a game. So it's not, the recess coach is not part of this plan, but we're using other learning recovery money in order to fund that part. So how do we increase that kind of engagement where the students they want to be in school? With our Prop 28, now that with the arts during the day is, again, having those activities for students that want to be there. And talking to our parents. I think Mr. Koenig, I'm going to share, tomorrow we have a principal summit, and we're going to be looking at the chronic absenteeism. We're going to talk to them on what their plans are. But I think part of the plan is also to engage our parents and how do we have that campaign so that they are attending school. Attendance is important and they should be in school, they should be learning, so that we increase that student achievement and really talk to our students. I mean, without talking to them and those empathy interviews that we have with them, we're not sure why they're not motivated. So really hearing their voice.
That's what I was gonna say also. I was gonna ask if the survey for those who said they didn't feel motivated, was there a space for them to say why not or where they could? And if not, maybe that may be an idea for next time where they can comment and give us some of that feedback, especially like maybe fifth and sixth graders who are close to exiting the district, so that we could know why aren't you motivated? I mean, we know a little bit, but not if we don't ask them. I was very surprised to see this.
Yes.
You know, more than half. And how do you motivate? It's not easy to motivate a student to learn. I mean, teachers aren't cheerleaders. They're already doing so much more to educate the students. So I think that's something that, thank you for bringing it out in the report and being candid about it. Kids aren't motivated right now. We have to concentrate on that or I don't feel we'll be able to get very far. So thank you for this information and good job on the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, still under 2 presentations, we're gonna go on to C, Department Presentations, Expanded Learning Program, Jose Fausto, Director of Expanded Learning.
Now it's on. Testing, testing, yeah. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, cabinet members, community members, and all here present. We're happy to, to present a brief presentation about the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. My colleague here, Ms. Carranza, is also joining me to present. And that way you have an idea of what is coming for the 23-24 school year. All right.
There we go.
All right, here we go. All right, next. So what is the purpose for the ELOP? I've been hearing about, motivating the students, how we can, get them into programs, getting excited to come to school, right? Social emotional situations, right? And this is one of the main purposes why the state is providing us, all the districts, the funding and resources to focus on the students, mainly on the enrichment purposes. But who are we reaching? The main purpose is to offer all unduplicated pupils in the classroom-based instruction programs access to comprehensive after-school and intersessional expanded learning opportunities in person, which means in person we cannot offer anything that is going to be online. That's no-go. Commencing in the 23-24 school year, a condition of receipt of the funds allocated to the school district, we need to offer the services to all unduplicated pupils in TK through 6th grade. And this is based on Ed Code 46-120, which is the ELOP, and the 84-82, which is ACES. The focus will be on developing the academic, social, and emotional, physical needs and interests of pupils through hands-on, engaging of learning experiences. Expanded learning opportunities does not mean an extension of the instructional time. We cannot supplant programs, but rather opportunities to engage pupil enrichment, playing, nutrition, and other developmentally appropriate activities. And this is again based on Ed Code. The main requirements: support TK through 6th grade. The program has to be no less than 9 hours of ELOP program activities. What does it look like a 9-hour program? Well, during the school days, that includes the instructional time. We count the instructional regular time, and then we add an additional time that the student needs to stay. In this case, because we already had ACEs going, what the state is asking us to do is create a single comprehensive plan where we can combine ACEs with the ELOP. Basically, the ELOP will be the main umbrella, right? And embracing and bringing more students, more opportunities for all of them. And in this program also, we need to provide meals, homework and tutoring, enrichment, and physical activities. The priority enrollment will be unduplicated pupils, which means these are students that are free and reduced meals qualifiers, foster youth, homeless, and English learners. Then program access upon parent request for students not meeting the criteria. We also have to offer services in 30 non-school days. That includes the days in the summer, intersession, and full Saturdays if necessary. But based on the current calendar that we have for next school year, the proposed calendar, we identified days that we can use for instance, professional development days that have been scheduled, right? What we want to propose is that those days also can be used for students to stay in the schools or continue. It's gonna be obviously first come, first serve. Our goal is to serve the majority of them, but that's an idea for them that they have a continued enrollment also. The 23-24, again, is to offer 100% of unduplicated pupils. In our district, based on the data on CalPATS, we have identified 7,135. Now, the ratios for the groups that we need to form, the requirement is 10-1 in TK to kinder and 20-1 first grade to 6th grade. So as you see right here, it's a completely different as the regular school days, right? Because the focus will be more on enrichment and also social, emotional, and physical activities. Then we also required to present a plan that is also submitted already for approval. This plan has to be board approved and also presented in our website for public view. This plan is based on these quality standards for the extended learning programs. So the first standard is safe and supportive environment. Second is active and engagement learning. The third is skill building. Fourth is youth voice and leadership. Fifth, healthy choices and behaviors. Six, diversity, access, and equity. 7, quality staff. 8, clear vision, mission, and purpose. 9, collaborative partnerships. 10, continuous quality improvement. And 11, program management. Under all these quality standards, we submitted a plan and how we're supposed to address all of them. These are the current numbers that we have per district-wide as well as per each of the sites. And this is from the CalPAS submitted from this school year. As you see, the numbers are there, right? And based on what we have on ACES, I added a column that we have about 1,137 under ACES. Then on the last column, I estimated based on the student to staff ratio, the amount of possible staff members that we would hire if we go 100%. If it's doable, it's doable. But if we're gonna get, that's our goal, right? We're gonna do our best to reach out as many families as possible, and also to provide all these great opportunities that we're gonna be offering in our district. As you see right here, this is a different structure. This structure is gonna allow us now to focus on the student to staff ratios, creating a plan that will increase more cohorts. And I call it cohorts, right? I start pulling cohorts to create those cohorts are 3 groups for each cohort. And each group is gonna be a maximum of 20 students. If you notice in this sample, the first group, you say staff needed 2. Because we also need to consider facilities. And obviously, if we start dividing 10-to-1 for TK Kinder, we're gonna have a challenge also with our facilities. So the plan is now to combine 2 groups of 10 with 2 staff members in there to meet the ratio. And if you see right here, the idea is that as soon as students are released for regular school day, we provide the meals and also start homework support right there. So the staff member assigned to that group will be supervising that group until they're done eating. Then we proceed with the transition where now the certificated teachers are gonna be coming in to provide also, and if you see, these are rotations. The certificated teacher is gonna be in charge of the homework and tutoring portion. The physical activity is gonna be handled by one of our partners that is here present also. And the enrichment transitions are gonna be also provided for multiple partners that are here as well. And they're gonna be providing in different modalities like theater, art, dance, music, yoga, all those opportunities. But at the same time, parallel to this program, we're also gonna be providing intervention support in language arts and math with quality staff members. And towards the end, we also continue contracted with the Mindful Project. And we're gonna be providing that support for students staying behind and those some circles to close up and help them out, decompress and go home, and have a good night on that. So this is an example of the structure that we're proposing in order to add more students. The idea is that every site start with at least 2 cohorts. That means approximately 120 students. We're gonna be flexible on the schedule. Under ACES, it was more restrictive. But since we're now combining both, we're still maintaining open until 6 because that was under ACES and we're still gonna maintain that support. So the flexibility is gonna be there also for the families. As long as the students stay the majority of the time, we're gonna keep them and release them accordingly. So the support structure is gonna come, obviously, being in the lead, but also my partner right here also taking a lot of responsibilities, working together as a team, expanding our department. The assistant principals are gonna continue working with us, but we also add in site leads. So in that way, they can focus more on the quality and accountability of the program. And they can assist with minor issues with tier 1 support for students, either discipline or intervention. But again, the assistant principals, they're still here because they're not off the hook yet. They're still gonna be a key partner in here. We also add in to STAR, and I just put right here 24 because it to reflect the cohorts that we're starting with just to begin with. We may add more based on the student enrollment. So that's at least the beginning, and that's how we're planning. We're also proposing to add office clerk part-time, which are gonna be functioning as help techs as well. So in that way, they can provide the additional support at the office with the additional personnel that stays there until 6. And obviously, we're also gonna continue hire our own, but as well partnership with another agency, and to provide the expanded learning specialists, which these individuals are gonna be classified personnel that are gonna be in charge of each group that we're gonna be having. They're gonna be staying with that group. And again, the idea is for them to get familiar with the students, know them better, and help out with a lot of interventions. The expenditure plan, based on the amount of money that we have, we divided for the after-school program, we're proposing to keep it at 10 million. But recently I found out we have additional carryovers that we need to spend, so that adds another 4 million approximately for the after-school program. And then intersection programs, we estimating the 3,328,979. This intersection means that the additional non-school days beyond the summer program. As well, in the summer program now, we're budgeting for 5 million. I may ask for more money, but I don't know. We'll see. As you see right here, I came in towards like the middle of April. And obviously I came in a fast pace, right? You see right here, the LOP action plan that I put together, and my colleague right here also was helpful on creating all this, right? Because she's been here already for a while, and that was very helpful for me, to start getting guidance also from Ms. Carranza. As you see, I have met with all site administrators. I have met with directors. I have met, with other stakeholders, in order to start listening and getting feedback to start building this upcoming program. To start getting more feedback, the next steps are also start having, a couple of parent meetings here, if those are available, one in June and also one in July with the assistance of our partners as well. So the parents can come over here and ask any questions, anything related to what we're going to be doing. Any questions for us?
Thank you, Mr. Fausto. Mr. Jimenez, any questions, comments? Ms. Leticia? Yeah.
I always have questions. I need clarity. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Fausto, for this presentation. I appreciate that you gave us numbers too. The $10 million sounds like a lot of money, but you have to spend it. So, and we do apparently have a lot of carryovers, so you got to spend that money and spend it on the kids, right? Yeah, there's a couple of things, maybe. Okay, so we're going to be hiring some different vendors. Alivo's being, no, not for the after-school program? No, okay, wrong one then.
No.
Because I was looking at something on the expanded version, because page 7 said Royal Kings Academy, and I go, is Alisal using Royal Kings Academy? Oh, maybe, is it? Is Royal Kings Academy part of the after-school program?
The Royal Forkside, yes,
The Forkside,
it's Forkside.
but it's not Royal Kings, or is it the same?
It's the same, but now they're coming out as a Forkside
Oh, okay,
Uh-huh.
so that got
because they're also
confusing.
expanding.
Oh, very good. But you're not hiring a Levo.
No, not at this time.
Okay,
Well, what we're bringing is Sweat 3, and they're also here present.
okay. Who, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sweat
Oh,
3.
Sweat 3, got it. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Okay. When we surveyed the teachers, and I think I had asked this, not teachers, parents, when we surveyed the parents before, was there any indication about them needing any before school care? Do you know if there's like a survey question that might, I'm just curious, because as a working mom, I used to need to drop off my kids somewhere because I had to be at work by 7:30. I'm wondering if there's a need for before school care. And I think I had asked that a couple of years back. And wondering if there's a survey question at all where, is there a need for before school care? And I don't know if you can answer that question or if that's a survey question on the surveys for the parents, I don't know.
We are prepared also to support the before, but we also need to understand as a district, we need to decide where the main support is gonna come, because remember, we're here to provide a 9-hour program. So we start going down, like for instance, at 7:30, then that start counting the time that we're gonna go under ELOP, right? So that means that on the afternoon, we're gonna reduce some of the time.
Okay.
But we can still look into it and let's see if we can accommodate the funding for also that.
Okay, and so
And
then.
Ms.
yeah,
Carranza can also say something.
Hi, to answer part of that question, we are offering before school to MLK and Sanchez.
Oh.
And our numbers have not been that
High.
great. So we have been reaching out to a lot of families offering those services. And they are there since 7 in the morning, and we haven't had a high enrollment for those 2 schools, and we did have funding for that. So it has been really hard to be able to meet the requirements that were needed. We did need 25 in that classroom, and I think we had about 7 to 10 students attend in both schools. So we had the staffing interested, but we didn't have the students available to be able to open a second classroom. But that is something that we have been trying to reach out to families to see if they were interested. And I know we did start just with MLK and Sanchez, but that's what we saw with just these 2 schools for now.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you. I mean, at least we're trying to see where the needs are, right? To
Yes.
plug up those holes. Then the other just comments. So I know here at this district, we expect the vice principals to continue to work with that after-school program. And so is the vice principals expected to stay till 6 PM or 6:30, or what's the deal there? A former administrator, right? I'm kind of looking out for those vice principals. I'm just trying to see, are they going to be there from 7:30 to 6 every day, 5 days a week, or?
No, we have a plan also to address that. The plan is for them to now start at 8 o'clock, 8 to 5. And that way they can start immediately, supporting the sites and the principals, as soon as they open the school. And that's why we are in the lead teacher also. We're taking some of the responsibilities for them because yes, they have a big load, but what I said, they're still gonna have to oversee, whatever is going on at the site, but they're gonna have to work side by side with the lead teachers.
Okay, well, thank you.
I don't have any questions. I just have one word. Wow. I mean, our students really have a lot to look forward to. Thank you for putting that together. Thank you for working together with Ms. Carranza. She's been doing a great job with the ACES program. Always busy. I've gone out there to some of the schools before and just doing this. So, and this is awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. And thank you to the audience for being patient. Our presentations were very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I did have a
Perdón.
comment.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I just want to say my
you.
hats off to you, Jose. You've hit the ground running, no doubt about that. I read the 25-page report and I thought it was very well written and very precise. So congratulations on that. And it looks like we're well on our way to spending the about $22.8 million that we've been given for the ELOP program. When we first got that massive infusion of money, I was wondering, well, how are we going to spend all this? But as I saw all the, I believe about 14 partners that you're having in the program, and they're not cheap, I can see that we are well on our way to spending the $22 million. I just think it's really exciting because, make no mistake that we are like, fighting for the minds and hearts of these young people. We really are, because there's so many forces out there that take them away from education, whether it's gangs, whether it's just students who are not into education, who are not buying what we're selling. Right? We're selling education. And we have some kids say, I don't want that. So this is an opportunity to get them excited, to make them understand that education can be fun, that it can be exciting, that it is fun, that it is exciting. So I think that we really are, gives us a great opportunity, fighting for the hearts and minds of these young people. And I think that your program, it should be successful. We should be able to win more students over, to our side of education. I notice during the summer when I go out my front door and I see a lot of the children of my neighbors playing outside. I mean, some of them look a little bit lost, some of them, they don't know what to do with their time. So this program will give them an opportunity to do something. There were, I just mentioned briefly, three things about the report that sort of caught my eye. One was the fact that we're working with 14 educational institutions. And I thought, to enrich our students, both in enrichment and in their academic development. And the fact that we are giving them 9 hours a day of learning plus enrichment, I think is also a great opportunity to win them over. The last thing is that I noticed that one of your goals was to develop strategies to increase homework completion rates. Okay, I think that's an important goal, and I hope that you latch on to that, and I hope that you don't just kind of skimp over it or just kind of not pay attention to it, but you really focus on that, because I just think it's so important. Because we all know that in order to be successful in education, you have to do your homework. The basic learning, learning theory 101, got to do your homework, right? To do well in school. So I hope that you do focus on that and that you do develop some good strategies, because there's no doubt in my mind that if we increase the homework rates of our kids, we're also going to increase their academic performance. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So I just sort of saw that and I go, wow, this makes a lot of sense. So I hope that you do develop some good strategies and that you do focus and not gloss over that. So those are my comments. But thank you for the work that you're doing, and it looks great up to now. It looks fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fausto, I wanted to add, I think you said some of the providers are here present.
Correct.
We'd like to thank them for choosing LSL. Would you like to introduce them briefly? There's not like 100 of them, is there?
Yes, so we have also Jim right here. Can you stand up? Or eh, what is it?
Thank you.
And providing the intervention, the quality intervention that is being proven that is effective. We also have a surgery.
And
Thank you.
also an elected official, he's a board member in Sacramento, West Sacramento. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
We also have continue with the services they can. Thank you. We have Studio Carmel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We also have a Hornell Foundation. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I can see Eduardo right here too, for Edmo.
Thank you very much for being here with us. And thank you, Mr. Fausto and Ms. Carranza, for a great presentation. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to continue on to number 3, public comment concerning items on the open session agenda and or non-agenda items. A, guidelines, there will be a 2-minute limit for individuals and a 20-minute limit on total public comments. There is no ceding of one's time to other individuals. Individuals wishing to address the Board of Trustees on open session agenda items and or other items may do so at this time. And we're starting at 7:22 p.m. The first one I have here is Miss Maria Parra, please. May I ask, please, how are we going to do the interpreting? I know we have an interpreter here. Are you going to do that? Claudia? Thank you.
Alizal, mesa directiva y nuestro superintendente Connie. Mi nombre es María Parra y estoy aquí representando en este caso a nuestro comité de padres de Beauty Healthy Communities, Monterey County. Mi comentario el día de hoy es para recalcar las prioridades de la comunidad a través del movimiento comunitario dentro de las reuniones del ALCAP de nuestro distrito Alizal y algunos otros eventos comunitarios y conversaciones comunitarias. En esta inversión pedimos que se invierta en entrenamiento a personal reclasificado y supervisores, staff, para la mejora del clima escolar, ya que algunos padres han expresado la falta de ser tratados en algunas ocasiones con respeto cuando van a visitar a sus hijos. Esta área ayudaría también al involucramiento de padres y dar el ejemplo a nuestros estudiantes. Así que los invitamos a tomar la ventaja de los diferentes currículos culturales que ayuda a entender los traumas y a construir la relación del personal y estudiantes y padres, claro. El currículo de la cultura cura es un currículo que Alizal ha puesto como prioridad y creo que el personal y supervisores clasificados y staff serían muy beneficiados. También pedimos invertir en las áreas de arte y música para todos los niños durante horario escolar. Actualmente es solo para algunos niños después de escuela y miramos crítico que nuestro distrito Alizal mueva fondos y adentre estas áreas dentro de un horario escolar para todos nuestros niños. Esto ayudaría enormemente a una área emocional y que con esto, claro, a lo académico de todos nuestros niños de Alizal. Así que desafortunadamente en nuestro plan, nuestro borrador del ALCAP, esta necesidad no la estamos mirando reflejadas en este año. La voz y necesidad de padres es crítica para el rendimiento académico de los niños. Así que confiamos que nuestra mesa directiva revise a detalle el borrador del ALCAP y abogue por estas prioridades para todos nuestros niños y padres del distrito de La Alizal. Y muchas gracias por todo el trabajo que también se ha hecho. Muchas gracias por todo y pues atentamente mi nombre es María Parra. Gracias.
Good afternoon to Board of Trustees. My name is Maria Parra. I'm here representing Padres Unidos Committee of Building Healthy Communities of Monterey County. My comment today is to reemphasize the priorities, community priorities that have been arrived through community organizing within the LCAP meetings in our district and other events and community conversations. This investment we're asking is to please invest in training to classify personnel and supervisors to improve school climate, because some parents have expressed they have not been treated with respect when they go visit their children. This also would help improve parental involvement and set an example to students. So we invite you to take advantage of some cultural curriculum that teach you to understand trauma and build personal relationship with staff and students, such as La Cultura Cura. That's a curriculum that Alisal has already adopted as a priority. And I believe that supervisors, classified personnel and supervisors would benefit greatly. We also ask that you invest in art and music for all students during school hours. Actually, that's these days is just for some children after school, and we believe it's critical that our Adisal district shift funding and go into this area within the school hours for all children. This would help immensely socio-emotional area and academic area for all children. Unfortunately, these needs, we don't see them reflected in the LCAP draft this year. The voice and need of parents is critical for the academic achievement of children. We trust that our Board of Trustees will revise the draft of LCAP and will advocate for these priorities. Many thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Gracias. Gabriela Silva.
Buenas tardes, miembros del concilio y superintendente. Mi nombre es Gabriela Silva. Soy organizadora en Sanación Cultural de Padres Unidos con BAC, líder comunitario. Estoy en Mamás de Salinas Aboga por Brave Beginnings y los primeros 5 y ahora ex becaria del Instituto Políticas para la Mujer de la doctora Solís. Estoy aquí para darles el agradecimiento por este año que ha pasado en el soporte a este distrito, Alisal, que ha sido el soporte a mí y a mi compañera que desgraciadamente no pudo estar, Erika Arreola. Ahora está en colaboración de nuestra beca. Creo que fue muy importante donde se dio una resolución que nos ayudó a seguir trabajando para un bien común, donde nuestro enfoque son los niños y su futuro, esperando poder seguir apoyando a este distrito. También trayendo enfoque en la educación y la salud mental de los niños, ya que son los que están llevando los traumas y a la pandemia, viendo eventos que se están suscitando en las escuelas superiores y comunidad. Es sumamente importante que se pueda entrenar personal clasificado y supervisores con intención en currículos culturales relevantes que los capacite para poder entender estos traumas. Antes mencionados deben tener un mejor manejo de emociones y acciones para mayor efectividad, tomando ventaja de lo que ofrece la Red Nacional Compadres y la filosofía de la cultura cura, ya que nuestro enfoque es proveer espacios, sin olvidar lo que es Joven Noble y Girasol. El que tengamos nuestros espacios, el que proveen estos espacios seguros para estos niños y poder relacionarse no solo entre estudiantes, también con los adultos en los que conectan, principalmente con los que pasan más tiempo de su día, que son los maestros y personal, para tener una educación con una salud mental afectiva en nuestros niños.
Perdón, ¿puede terminar con la última frase o cuánto le falta?
No, ya voy a terminar.
Ándele, gracias.
Y para los desastres y mortalidades a un nivel que sea más bajo, porque para nosotros es importante el futuro y el impacto que solo siendo niños podemos rescatarlos en acciones que nadie esperamos, pero sobre todo nadie estábamos preparados, necesitan considerarlo. Gracias.
Good afternoon, board members and superintendent. My name is Gabriela Silva. I'm an organizer, cultural healing with Padres Unidos, building healthy communities. I'm also a community leader with a lot of titles. I am here to thank you for this year that the year just passed and all the support that Alisal has brought to me and my partner, Erika Arreola. She was not able to be here today, but the district offer a good resolution that will allow us to continue working for the betterment of the community, where our focus is children, their future, and we would hope to continue working, supporting for the district. Also, we brought a focus on education and mental health, children mental health. They are the ones who have been carrying the traumas of the pandemic, and we see events that are happening in the higher education schools and in the community. It's very important to train classified personnel and supervisors with intention in curriculums that are culturally relevant, and to please give them professional development to understand these traumas before mentioned. They need to understand better their emotions and their actions for to be more effective. It'd be best if we took advantage of what is offered by the National Compadres Network and their philosophy, La Cultura Cura. What we're trying to focus is and to offer spaces that are secure for children so they can relate to each other, not just among students, but also with the adults who get connected, especially the ones who spend more time with adults. There's some curriculums such as Joven Noble and Girasol that provide these. The people who are in constant contact with these children are teachers and personnel, and they need better education for mental health with our children. Is process for the this should be part of a process for the youth to be healthier with better mental health, finding their roots and cultural belonging, and so our communities can find better spaces for a better impact in the future. And if we are very intentional, we will see that the future and the impact, we will be able to rescue the children and the actions. We did not expect to see what we're seeing now, but nobody was prepared. And so we please need to consider these actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Alma Loredo, please.
Gracias, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es Alma Loredo. Buenas tardes, miembros de la mesa directiva, presidente, superintendente. Yo soy organizadora de padres con BHC Padres Unidos y una abogante de Alizal por más de 10 años. Quiero agradecer al distrito el buen trabajo que han estado haciendo, gracias a Miss Álvarez y su liderazgo que lo ha compartido con nosotros los padres. Y esta tarde quiero traer frente a ustedes las recomendaciones que la comunidad trajo en el proceso de involucramiento de ELCAP. Estoy aquí esta tarde para pedirles que aseguren las prioridades de la comunidad y que sean incluidas en el plan de este año. Entre estas, la acción 3.7 del plan de ELCAP, asegurar que haya enfermeras de planta que puedan apoyar el bienestar del estudiante. Pedimos que sean intencionales en crear caminos que permitan que Alizal pueda tener asistentes de salud en las escuelas. Otra de las prioridades que la comunidad mencionó como una necesidad es tener más conexión con sus escuelas a través de un enlace comunitario que organice los cafecitos y tenga la oportunidad de desarrollar la relación con los padres en los sitios escolares, apoyando a los principales en el involucramiento de padres y trayendo los recursos y oportunidades a nuestras escuelas. Sabemos que ustedes están comprometidos con la comunidad y que revisarán el borrador de ELCAP y harán los cambios necesarios que reflejen las necesidades de los padres y los niños y las familias en la comunidad. Nosotros venimos a ustedes con la mejor intención, buscando traer equidad a nuestros niños y colaboración. Gracias por su atención en nuestra petición y esperamos verlo reflejado en el presupuesto de este año. Con respeto, Alma Loredo.
Gracias.
Good afternoon, board members, president and superintendent. My name is Alma Loredo. I'm an organizer with Padres Unidos and Building Healthy Communities and an advocate of Alizal for more than 10 years. I want to thank the district for the good job that it's been doing. Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez, and your leadership that you have shared with us. I would also like to bring to the fore the recommendations that the community brought in the process of ELCAP involvement. I'm here this afternoon to ask that you could please assure that the community priorities be included in the ELCAP this year. among these actions, in action 3.7 in the LCAP, make sure that there's nurses, full-time nurses that could support the well-being of students. We ask you to be intentional in creating roads to allow LSL to have health support at schools. Another one of the priorities is for the community mentioned as a necessity is to have more linkages to schools through a community liaison, to organize coffee clutches and to have the opportunity to develop relationship with parents and school sites, supporting the principals in the parental involvement and bringing resources and opportunities to our schools. We know you are committed with the community and that you will revise the LCAP draft and will make the changes that are needed to reflect the needs of the parents, the children, and the families in the community. We come with the best intentions, looking to bring equity to our children and collaboration with you. Thank you for your attention to our petition, and we hope to see this petition reflected in the LCAP this year. With much respect, Alma Loredo.
Thank you very much. And we have one more, Janie Lucas.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Superintendent Cohen. The reason why I'm here is because we have 12 coaches that are going to be coaching in the new school year. They're going to be coaching the teachers on the kids with literacy. But we are still short 4 other coaches that of the 12 sites, only 8 of them got them. So that means that 4 schools are not going to have those specific coaches. So my biggest concern is like, yes, we understand that they were not approved by the state, but we got to figure out a way to give all the other schools the same equality. This is LSL district. This isn't just Steinbach or Creekside or Frank Paul, which those are the schools that didn't get that assistance. Those schools will not have those coaches. The other reason why I decided to come to the meeting was because I asked a question and I never got a response, a clear, crystal response. I asked on the district meeting on March 16, 2023, there was a virtual academy budget that was given out, the revenue, the expenditures, and it said contribution from the other 12 schools, 503,000, contributions from non-AVA students. My response was, that was the response, that it was non-AVA students. Does that mean that it came from each school individually, the money? That's my question for the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Ms. Lucas. So now when we're here, we don't answer those questions, but who can call Ms. Lucas to answer that question for her? Mr. Koenig?
I'll have Ed Services will call them tomorrow and let them know the answer to that question.
Is that okay, Ms. Anso, or do you need a day or so? Is that okay to call tomorrow or, oh, Mr. Abbasi? Can you, before you leave, make sure you leave your name and number with Mr. Abbasi so that he can call you? Thank you, Ms. Lucas. We're gonna go ahead, we're still on presentations. We're gonna go on to C, association comments. We're gonna start with LSL. Oh, excuse me, we're gonna end public comment at 7:40 and go on to LSL Teachers Association, please.
Good evening, board member. Good evening also the cabinet. We have an update about the negotiations. We just ran out of time, so the negotiations will continue in August. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pastoriza. California School Employees Association, Chapter 577. No comments. Thank you so much. Is there anybody here with the United Substitute Teachers Union? No, no comment. We'll go on then to number 4, board member superintendent reports. We're going to start off with Ms. Ocampo, so I make sure I don't forget him over here in this corner.
You got it, kid. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to congratulate all the sixth graders who were promoted onto the seventh grade and to wish them well on their unique social and academic paths, whatever those may be. I also just would like to encourage our parents to continue to stress the importance of education to their sons and daughters, because it's always great when students return to our district, as professional young men and women. It's always great to see them, and that has happened in the past, and I hope it continues to happen. So that's my only comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ocampo. Mr. Jimenez, no comments. Ms. Garcia?
I too want to congratulate all the sixth graders on their promotion. I know I was very proud to attend promotion ceremonies at both BRB and Creekside. I was able to make both of them. They're close by, so I was able to make them their different times. So both were very well attended by parents and loved ones. They all had student voice and both had performances by students, which is really nice to see. So congratulations to the site administrators and teachers at both sites and all the sites, right? Because we're promoting everybody, all the sixth graders and for their successful promotion ceremonies. And congratulations to all the retirees. Thank you for all your service and we wish you well in your next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I just wanted to report, I wanted to thank the Padres Unidos parents who always come here with such great points to share with the board and in such a respectful manner that you are a fine example in training other parents in how to approach the board. And you're always listened to, and it's such a pleasure. And because I know sometimes it's really hard to come up and speak, and everybody's watching and it's on YouTube and, so it's nerve-wracking sometimes. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being the hardworking, respectful group of parents that you are. Muchas gracias. Los agradecemos mucho su presencia. Okay, and then I just wanted to, I didn't get to go to the sixth grade promotions, but I went to a kinder graduation at Fremont School. I don't know if everyone, these little girls, they're this little and they're dressed like quinceañeras. They look like they had these big old dresses and their earrings and it was just adorable, and just, the parents that were there very proud of their kids and encouraging them to keep on, that their kids become lifelong learners. And there was so many celebrations that went on, retirements with classified, retirements with teachers, the Luminaria Awards, the arts and poetry contest that we can thank Miss Claudia Melendez for helping us, and she called it her baby, and she was there also helping present with Mr. Koenig. Mr. Koenig was very active and celebrating, and it's exciting. Everybody's happy towards the end of the school year because it's the end of the school year and the vacation is coming up. We look forward to the negotiations with the two groups, and it's just a good time. So for those of you who are already off, we wish you a great summer. We'll still be here at our board meetings if you want to attend. We'll be here. The cabinet, I'm sure, will be here, but please be safe for the summer and have a nice time. And please come back when school starts. And so now we're going to get our report from our superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gilpus Ferreira. I just want to add to the excitement that Mr. Fausto produced in his presentation on the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. This week, summer school started. I've been visiting schools Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and the enrichment is very impressive. And I'll just give one example. As I walked from classroom to classroom, I came to a classroom where there were sewing machines set up, and the kids are this summer, between now and the last day, each of the students who goes through the sewing program is going to be producing a vest if they're a boy or a skirt if they're a girl, but they're going to be taught how to sew, which is I just thought it was fantastic. So kudos to Mr. Fausto and the program he's put together. Thank you very much for what you're doing for our kids this summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koenig, for your report. And so we're going to go on to item number 5, consent agenda, approve, ratify contracts, MOUs, agreements, grants, proposal, conferences, workshops, and field trips. This is an action item. And so we're going to move, I need a motion to approve the agenda, but we do have a blue sheet there that trustees should have there before them. But the information, the change on the blue sheet is just material connected to school plans, just like dates and so forth, nothing of substantial, nothing different. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure, there are, I recommend that the board approve the SIPSs with the changes included in the blue sheets. There are no material changes. The changes include changes to the positions on the school site council, the names of the positions, and it includes changes to dates, but no substantive changes in what the actions that have been taken by the school sides.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. Being that this is an action item, I do need the board member to make the motion. Mr. Jimenez makes the motion. Is there a second? Mr. Jimenez, and then seconded by Ms. Garcia. Any questions, comments, concerns by trustees? Mr. Ocampo, please.
I just had a quick, just a question, I guess, on 5U, which is the Adventure More, EDMO, I think that Councilmember Garcia was talking about this, EDMO staffing services for the after-school program. So it's my understanding that EDMO is going to be in charge of hiring a lot of people, because we're going to need a lot of people to run our after-school programs. But my only question and my only hope, I guess, hope, I don't know how you want to say it, is that the hires first hopefully will be local hires, and then after that, maybe hires outside of the local area. So I guess that's my question, whether the hires will first be local or not.
Ms. Anzo, do you want to take that?
Yes, so the answer to that is yes, we are starting with our own advertisement for our classified staff. And so the amount of staff that we might need, we might not have all that interest. So we want to have a backup, and this would be the backup. So that's why it's going to happen simultaneously. So hiring our own staff first, and then filling in with the vacancies with staff, so that our students can have the programs in the after school.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions, comments? No, we're gonna go ahead and go for the vote, since we do have a motion by Mr. Jimenez and a second by Ms. Garcia. May I have all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Vote, motion carries 4-0 with one board member being absent. So we're gonna go on to item number 6. Business services, and this is a public hearing on the 2023-24 fiscal year budget. I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:50. Is there any additional input by anybody? Being that there is none, I will close at 7:51. Number 7, educational services. This is also a public hearing on the local control and accountability plan, the LCAP. It'll be open at 7:51. Is there any additional input by anybody present? Okay, we'll close at 7:52. And we'll go on now to human resources. A public hearing that's revised initial proposal for successor negotiations 2022-2025 school year for the California School Employees Association, Chapter 577. We open at 7:52. Is there any additional input by anybody present? No. Okay, we will close at 7:53, being that there is no more input. We'll go on to Human Resources, B, action. Job description, this is the second reading on the psychologist two. This is an action item, so I would need a motion, please. Mr. Jimenez makes the first motion. Is there a second?
I'll
please?
second.
Mr. Ocampo. Questions, concerns, comments by board members? Being that there are none, I will go ahead and go for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one board member being absent. C, this is also an action item. Job description, second reading, teacher on special assignment, visual and performing arts, VEPA. This is this is an action. I need a motion by a board member.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Garcia, second by Mr. Jimenez. Questions? Concerns, comments? Being that there are none by board members, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries on a vote of 4-0 with one board member being absent. Now we have a first reading on job description, teacher on special assignment, professional learning community teacher, PLCT. Is there any additional input? Well, this is the first reading, right? Okay. Information, right. Okay. E, this is an action item. California Teachers Association CTA release time agreement for Angela De Ramos. And this is an action item, so I need a motion, please.
So move.
Mr. Ocampo,
I'll second it.
thank you so much. Second, Ms. Garcia. Questions, concerns, comments? Being that there are none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries on a vote from 4-0 with one member being absent. F, action item, provisional interim permits, internship permits, excuse me, PIPs for the 2023-24 school year. This is an action item. Mr.
First.
Jimenez would like to make the first motion. May I get a second, please?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Mr. Jimenez.
I'll second it.
Mr. Ocampo. Thank you so much. Any questions, concerns?
I have a question.
Ms.
How many
Garcia?
tips are we talking about? Is it just one or two or?
Just one.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I thought I read just one. Like, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries on a vote of 4-0. Okay, I have another action item, G, variable term waivers for the 2023-2024 school year. Motion, please. Mr. Jimenez is on a roll here. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Second, so is Ms. Garcia. Thank you so much. Any comments, questions, concerns?
How many of those are, how many are we talking about variable term waivers for the next school year?
So there's 7 new variable term waivers and 2 are renewals.
So 9 total? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries 4-0 with one board member being absent. H, action, revised job description, administrative assistant 3, superintendent, action item, please. Mr. Jimenez. And then Mr. Ocampo seconds that motion. Questions, concerns, comments? None. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries on a vote of 4-0 with one board member being absent. Okay, so we have some future agenda items, their department presentations, they're listed here. And I know today we had 3 and it was quite lengthy, so we'll talk about maybe just 2 presentations next time, I don't know. We'll talk about it with the superintendent, that way. We'll discuss that. If the board members have anything to add right now as far as future agenda items?
I had, well, I guess it's really not an agenda item, but I thought I was looking at the draft LCAP and I found it understandable, sort of easy to understand, which is kind of cool, kind of different. So I'm looking forward to see the actual completed LCAP. I was just thinking it would be great to have a study session on the LCAP at some future date, so that as a board, we can talk about it and sort of understand it better. I think that might be a good idea. I don't know what board members think.
Superintendent's taking note of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ocampo.
Okay.
Is that all or
That's it, yeah.
anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. So we'll go on to 10 public comments on closed session agenda items only. A, guidelines, there will be a 2-minute limit for individuals on public comment and a 20-minute limit on total public comments. There is no ceding of one's time to other individuals. Individuals wishing to address the Board of Trustees on closed session items may do so at this time. And we are starting at 7:57. Doesn't look like there's anybody, so we'll end this at 7:58 and adjourned to closed session at 7:58. But we will have a 10-minute recess. And please, I ask that the board members be prompt to our closed session after the 10 minutes because cabinet will be joining us. And we want to get that started right away. So what time in 10 minutes? It will be 8:08. See you all in